So on GDS here, the question is, was this a first pullback entry opportunity or not? And what I said was no, because the stock had come back, had moved up and then spiked sharply. And I said, this is not sustainable. And sure enough, it came back and then did find support in here. But this is too much of a trade. There's been some interesting posts on Twitter about this chart pattern, mostly with middle fingers pointing in the middle there. But in this case, it turned out not to be that what they might predict. Anyways, to get back to the pattern here, this is, for me, is not a first pullback entry opportunity because it's come back far too much, too many bag holders above, and it needs to consolidate before it can move higher, or as in this case, it ground higher. So but what I did say was, well, if it holds here and builds a trend, and actually I said, I think I was over this, maybe this level or this level here, then you can trade it. But it's not the first pullback entry opportunity, but you have to wait and see if a different pattern evolves. And as that different pattern evolves, then you can trade it. So just because I say, no, this is not the first pullback entry opportunity, doesn't mean you ignore it and not trade it. What it means is we've got to find a different pattern to look at to trade. And there was a few in here, really, that we could have traded this. First of all, let's change this angle. So this would have been the angle that it was on here at that time. So you can see it was in this angle here. It pops up, pulls back, and then starts trading up on this angle. And we talked about this yesterday a bit, and I did have a video on it. So this first red candle here gives you the base to continue this trend line, and then there's a couple of green candles, and it actually is holding this trend line. And I said you can buy this trend line, but it's a 50-50 proposition, because we don't know if this is like one down, wave 2 and then wave 3. We don't know if that's how this is going to develop. So what I said was you can buy this trend line, but if it breaks below it, you've got to exit quickly because the pattern isn't there. It's a 50-50 trade at best. But in this case, it did hold it, and you can see then this was the trend line. But it broke the trend line here, but not by much, and it's continued to go up. So what you do instead is you redraw the line, you fan it out, and it's still good. And then it breaks it again here, but not by much. The volume's really dried up. So you fan it out again, and you could continue to have stayed in this trend all the way up back to high of day, where it double topped. And then when it did break this trend this time with more conviction, in the sense that it just started to drift, you would want to be a seller in this area, and here at 32. But that's a move from $30. It was a couple dollar move. Maybe you would have got in a bit higher when it broke here, or even broke here at 30.88. So it still ended up being a very good trade. So I just wanted to clarify that this chart pattern, just because it pulls back and it's not the first pullback entry opportunity, it can develop into other charts patterns that we can trade. And in this case, it held the trend line, and I talked about that yesterday. So that's whether is it or is it not a first pullback entry op.